something's going to happen.
Yep. Something.
Gosh, I wonder what. It's almost as if we need a release date for a patch and the reveal of an expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, so, right, basically they announced fresh IP this week. Not WoW stuff, of course. They did that, and, then Mike Ybarra, who's the leader of Blizzard, used to be co, but then Jen O'Neill quit. I wonder what she thinks about the acquisition. But anyway, Mike is reassuring people that there are more announcements for Warcraft, Overwatch, and Diablo in the coming weeks.
Indeed.
So, that makes sense.
Guess we wait.
That's the news, everyone.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's an announcement of an announcement, probably of an announcement.
Yeah, I have to say I'm surprised. I was expecting this to be a higher cadence of news. I definitely thought this was going to be bam, bam, bam this week after the unannounced survival game. But I guess they're kind of hoping for the more... no, we'll just take our time.
Depends what that S means.
Yeah,
if it was this week, you could say, oh, it's 9.2. If it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks away...
Yeah.
What are the chances that we're playing 9.2 or are... well, maybe that's another question for some people. But what are the chances that we don't already know when the release date is, which would mean next expansion?
Yeah, I guess that's the...
Which, certainly the universe and us aspiring to make everyone think that it's going to be the Dragon Isles.
Yeah, I mean, well, Flynn says this week is not ended for NA yet, which, implies that, I mean, I think we have been hit fairly often with decent amounts of news dropping, Friday, 5 p.m, so no one can react to it in time, or later in the Friday day, which, obviously there's, when you're releasing news and announcements, there's a massive amount of consideration you'll want to put into which day, which time, because, you want it to have like maximum or minimum impact if it's bad news. But if this is good news, I don't expect we'd see it before, and all the news shops have closed up and all of the games journalists are out on the piss on Friday night because definitely they do that instead of playing games they need to review.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll want to time that possibly for that. But there's also the kind of impact of this is, I was about to start talking about February for video games, but I think we're a little bit too far out from the last week of Nightmare Hellscape. I'm sorry to anyone who reviews games professionally week.
Yeah, somehow I don't think they're all going to be roving about in Weatherspoons.
No.
On a Friday night. Okay, are you prepared? Because the Burning Crusade Classic Phase 3 is live. It's the version of Classic that I probably wanted to play the most, and real life conspired to say, no, you don't get to do that. Fuck you. So there you go. It's big Illidan, Black Temple, Nether Dragons. There you go, some fun high-gel shots. Neat. So yeah, you can do Black Temple, and you can do High-Gel Summit.
Yep.
And now I seemingly know that there's a new Channel 5 video that I'm probably going to have to watch, so that's good news. Oh look, there's us!
No, that's us. Yeah, okay, that's...
Wow.
Yeah. Hang on, if you click that, then can we just leave and it'll play that?
Yeah, it'll be like a feedback loop. Perfect.
Yeah.
Right, so Phase 3. I'll just do it quick because I don't think a massive amount of the classic audience are with us.
If they are, I'd be surprised.
So look, High-Gel Raid, Black Temple, PvP Season 3, Incubus, Warlock, Minion, Netherring Daily Quests, Epic Gems, and additional class set tokens from Serpent Shrine and Tempest Keep. Cool. Then, Cosmic Flux and Legendary Upgrade costs. So this is getting into how they are developing an endgame system in this world where perhaps some lessons have been learned. So let's talk about what this is like. In order to craft the new rank of Legendaries in 9.2, you'll need to collect a new currency, Cosmic Flux. But you obtain this from, most endgame activities and outdoor content in Zereth Mortis, much like Echoes of Nyalotha in 8.3 of BFA. So, because of Wowhead, we now have a rough idea of how much we're going to be earning through each type of activity. Obviously, this is still PTR, but basically, one-time treasures, 200. Weekly, the weekly quest, the weekly meta, 150. Daily treasures, 75.
Bi-weekly?
Oh, sorry, bi-weekly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Daily treasures, 75 Cosmic Flux. Daily quests, 75. Rare mobs, 50 to 75. Repeatable treasures, 12. So certainly, when it's grindy time, you're going to be getting less, but also they're in Torghast, right? Yep. So they are earnable via the 4 new layers added in 9.2 once you've unlocked 16. Each time you complete it, you'll earn, of course, also remember that if you complete like 16, you'll get the rewards of 15, 14, 13 as well. So 13 is 70, and then it's 10 for each additional, meaning if you complete a Torghast 16, you'll get a total of 100. Mythic Plus, just doing a key, there's 100. Rated Arena, every win, 375, but that is unconfirmed.
345?
Sorry, 345. That feels really high to me. Based on these other numbers and the amount of time it takes to win one arena, surely.
Imagine that's why it's unconfirmed. Could be a bug.
Yeah. And then something from Sepulchre.
Yep. Interesting.
And then for our costs. So these are the total costs of each legendary rank. So, bear in mind that there's the betweens is what you have to pay for an upgrade. So rank 7, 2,000 Cosmic Flux, 1,650 Cinders, and 5,150 Soul Ash. Which, so that's what you're going to need to make a rank 7 legendary. Which, is that a lot? Is it not? To be honest, I've not really played. None of us really played 9-1 in our guild, did we?
Not an awful lot.
We cleared normal and we got like a bit over halfway into heroic, and then
we just
Lizard Scandal happened and we didn't feel like playing the game.
Yeah. And, Fate Scribe was just so unfun. Didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Fate Scribe is one of the least fun bosses I've played in ages.
It's like I like some elements of it, but the fact that spinning the wheel around just was so unresponsive, and the arena was so big every time I had to, I was like, fuck, this is literally not fun. This is anti-fun as a mechanic, and you should not do that very often.
Time to go to Narnia. By the way, the mechanics busted half the time I try it.
Yep, absolutely.
What's the Lego? That's a legendary.
Yeah, so I think right now there's a lot of grinding if you're new and you don't have the item level to do stuff. Like it takes a decent God, I'm trying to think how long it took me, how many runs it took me to get a legendary, and I haven't crafted it yet, but on Resto Shaman it took me basically a full gaming day of Torghast, which isn't to say this was doing one of the handier layers. Like around my suggested item level, which means I could have went up 1 or 2, but it would have killed the flow of just doing them quickly. And I was just kind of nuking. I can't remember what layer it was. Maybe 8 or 9, maybe 8.
Gotcha.
But it was like a full gaming day to get that, which you kind of, well, is that okay? Is it maybe not? I don't know. It depends on how much you want to play.
Well,
but it certainly felt like an awful lot. And then that wasn't all the cinders. That was just all the soul ash.
Oh.
So I was like, Christ, that's a lot.
Well, it's a good thing that your video and gaming psychology has a lot to say about Torghast then, isn't it? Now this 2,000 Cosmic Flux, look, just collect 10 one-time treasures in Zereth Mortis. You'll have enough for one rank 7 legendary, and you'll probably get the other Cosmic Flux just by doing shit anyway. So overall, Cosmic Flux, it gets a thumb up from me. I'm happy enough with this. Yeah,
I mean, I guess this is this is really awkward because obviously I'm in a very specific mood to
yes.
think.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
But I am just thinking, why is it there? If you can get it from everywhere, why does it matter? Then it's just a little, please do some content today. Please do some content. Please do some content. Which, maybe that's nice, a little drip feed reward. Maybe that's good. I don't know. But I am thinking, what if there was no Cosmic Flux? What if the legendary could just be upgraded for something else? Does it need to be anything else? What other hoops do you have to jump through to play the game or to get a reward? Maybe. Also, I very much enjoy that, Lee. I wish I gave a Cosmic Flux. Very good.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
Okay. Conduits.
Right.
Yep. So Covenant Conduits will now drop from Mythic Plus Dungeons. Previously, you'd only be able to get these via Sire Denathrius from 9.0 or World Quests, which weren't particularly great in patch 9.1. This is a bit of a blind spot they had in that. So as such, the only way to get them was through, of course, the Bing Bing Wahoo. That's a registered trademark of us. Korthia Random Lottery upgrade items, which is their official name. So yes, there you go. The Covenant Conduits will drop from the Covenant-related, Necrotic Wake, Plaguefall, Mists, and Halls of Atonement. So if you just do them at plus 15, you'll get an eye level to 65. We do have some PvP with the Blues.
Yep.
Which basically is we're just calling that out, it's nice that this sort of thing is happening more.
Yeah, good.
So that's very good.
Yeah.
Then the Mythic Plus encrypted affix has been tuned. So very good.
Yeah. Good. Sorry.
Sorry, Dakor.
Yeah, no, the tone of your voice. Oh, fuck.
Well, I don't. Do you think we should hop in?
No. I mean, it's I think it's good stuff. There's good changes happening here.
Okay,
So
we'll do it.
So I did go through it. Like I looked at this earlier, and I was like, you know what? This is definitely some interesting stuff. Talking about hey, the mana regen problem, the tank mitigation glacial spike.
I'm going to be
haste
an
problem.
utter cunt.
Yep.
My bladder's literally about to burst.
Yeah, sweet.
So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Sweet. So that's grand. I have some things to talk about with haste. Anyway, I didn't plan it, but there's certainly things to talk about with haste. Hello. So the point of this basically is that, I guess we'll work through it generally, roughly, correctly, in order. So buffs will have multiple effects. Mana regen, they will respawn after a wipe. So problems are generally being solved. But then they were talking about haste specifically because obviously, haste is their go-to, generally. Hero Bloodlust is fantastic for that feeling of everyone's doing a bunch of extra damage. It scales really well. It feels for that second you're mashing buttons, which kind of owns, generally speaking. It's pretty fun overall. It can go wrong when you have too much haste, of course, with how the game generally functions, but it's there. So the feedback was I wanted to share some insight on why we didn't make it highest secondary. I was on to say, as a player, it's very difficult to notice a temporary buff to something like damage or versatility, unless it's large. Haste directly changes how your character feels, so it makes the effect more noticeable, even at lower tuning variables. And this is what I think is particularly interesting, where, to me, it just shows a gaping hole in their general class design philosophy, where they moved away from reliance on secondary stats having interactions quite a lot. It was harder to balance, and for the likes of Fire Mage and Crit's a good example of this, where they were like, okay, Fire Mage, Crit, that's a problem because low crit Fire Mage feels shit, high crit Fire Mage feels fantastic. So instead of trying to normalize that while having reduce the impact Crit has, they decided, okay, fuck it, it's just a fixed chance now. Fuck you. We'll not have any of that stuff involved whatsoever. And that means that haste is the only secondary stat you feel. Unless you're an Elisham with mastery. That's kind of it. And that's so frustrating that they've gimped their class design philosophy so hard that you have very little impact on it. But also you still have this gearing loop where that means the vast majority of stuff you care about just doesn't matter. A vast majority of stats you get are just damage.
Yeah.
And the only one that's... Because crits, unless you're looking at the thing, it doesn't really feel different. There's
class dependent, but yeah.
Yeah, so I can't remember how much crit impacts what it feels like you're actually doing. In terms of there's any impact on button presses or stuff like that. Or not button presses, but the... Fucking hell, I cannot speak. Spell effects and animations and sounds. I don't think there's much impact crit has on that, if at all. I don't remember anything.
I think it makes the text bigger.
It makes the text bigger, that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas it could do something more interesting. So all this stuff is just not interesting at all. And then they have this... that's technically fine if they had class design that was interesting. But it generally sort of isn't all that interesting, doesn't have that much interactions. So you have this odd problem of just... haste is their only option to make you feel different. So they need to rethink, I think, a lot of their class design in secondaries and how they function. Obviously, just saying that doesn't really mean anything because you need to provide a solution. Sadly, I don't have one. I just recognize this as a big problem for their design space. It was sorry, we can't give you anything because the only thing you feel is haste. You're like, you did that.
Definitely a problem, yeah.
It's you did that.
As a player, I feel that way.
Yeah, you did
haste
that.
Is the fun one.
Yeah, there's nothing that impacts how you play except haste.
No, they tried to with everything they learned from the Siege of Orgrimmar trinkets.
Yeah. Yeah,
multi-strike, and so they evidently thought this was an issue back then.
Yeah, that's it. You don't notice much, just
yeah.
And I think it's just that thing where in an alternate universe where this was substantially better, would all be happier. That's what I kind of think. Where it's just, I regret not having a solution plan for this because it's just, why is haste the only thing that feels good? You're without solving the problem of high values. Well, I guess that's a solution. You normalize it but keep it happening, and then people will feel it, or you devise some other way to impact things, I guess. But I don't know. Just musing on a problem, really. Musing on a problem.
Yeah. Because I guess it used to be that there'd be more texture to this when you also had to balance, there's a precision hit.
Oh, yeah.
Precision? Expertise.
Expertise, yeah.
Expertise and hit and stuff. So, as a player, you'd be trying to keep two numbers at a certain level while then optimizing the rest.
Yeah.
But then they kind of removed that thing from the game because it really wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't really.
Yep.
And then what you're left with, well, less. And the only one that's fun is haste. And then they try to get around that with the Siege Warhammer trinkets. Some of them worked, some of them didn't.
Yeah.
So now here we are, I suppose.
Yeah, difficult.
Even little things like I remember there was one they were trialing that would reduce your cooldown time, which you could think would be really cool. Then you're like, oh god, that could be optimized by people quite terrifyingly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't do it.
Yep, I think that's the rub. Maybe it's just overall the problem of having 36 specs. Maybe it's something else, but there's definitely a lack of things changing up, which is why they end up relying on borrowed power for changes, as opposed to anything else. I think that's frustrating, but hard to know. Hard to know what to do about it, because, there's basically no solution I can offer that's not rework all your specs. Lamau, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck do that for 10.0 one time.
On the other thing then, some greater shapes being dynamite.
Yep.
Apparently these appear on the second floor of the wing, so you'll have some work to get to them. And we did a few test runs and actually got them on the second floor.
This one?
Dragonhawk, Alec,
Yep.
Troll Strider, Bat Soul, and a little pig, greater shape.
Wonderful.
Yeah, nice. Just we're gonna throw soul shapes in the bin. They're a borrowed power thing, right? So why bother? That's the tricky thing about how they've conditioned me to think about the game.
Yep. Well, that's actually the fun thing. This is, I don't want to say conspiratorial because it feels that way of thinking, but this is very big brain making random guesses and hoping for the best. They're continuing to put effort into soul ships into the final expansion of the game. I hope not. Final patch of the expansion. Does that mean that they are planning a way for soul ships to remain? Or do they expect you to go back to Shadowlands to check out your soul ships that you've worked hard for? Or are they just going, fuck it, you'll enjoy it for now? Because I'm arguing that they're still doing that for, all of the gear and gameplay. So, bit of a moot point, but yeah.
Well, it's like, if the soul shape thing you just got as a permanent thing, or I don't know, maybe an outdoor content only or something at the end of the expansion, it could at least feel like, well, I went to the Shadowlands and I was blessed with this power and I came back and it's just a thing I can do. But in combat, do you want players to be able to have that all the time? No, you don't.
No, you don't. Yep.
But maybe it could be used in some other way.
Well, then we have a problem.
Uh-oh.
If the soul ships are there, then you bring them into the next expansion, then you've got a problem where all the people who went to get soul ships
oh yeah, of course,
are just ahead of the curve. Or the people who are Night Fae get a bonus feature that no one else gets. And they're not about to let me bring my steward around with me or fleshcraft. Nothing like that. Unfortunate.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's it.
Who knows?
I hope they have a solution.
Yeah.
Give it to everyone.